Right, good afternoon. My name's Helen Wallbridge. I'm a community archaeologist and I freelance as Hampshire Community Heritage. This presentation is based on my personal experiences of using heritage-based activities in the community and how it improves the lives of well-being of people living with dementia. My interest in this developed when I met Dr. Helen Lee, a psychologist who founded a dementia care hub near Southampton. Her PhD research was in material citizenship and the importance of personal possessions in providing the comfort and empowerment of people in care homes. And this really resonated with me because in Heritage, we're caring for the material culture of the past. And we know that connecting people with the past has fantastic results for wellbeing. Since this meeting, I've worked one afternoon a week at the Dementia Care Hub, implementing some of these heritage-based activities I'm going to explain to you. So let's just have a quick look at what is dementia. Dementia is an umbrella term for more than 100 different illnesses that affect the brain, of which the Alzheimer's disease is the most common. 1 in 3 people born in the UK today will sadly develop dementia. And if you're diagnosed before the age of 65, that's considered young onset. Dementia is a progressive illness that affects the whole body, not just the memory. So the Alzheimer's Society run a really good training course called Dementia Friends. I'd absolutely recommend that to anybody that wants to find out more. And they use a bookcase analogy to explain memory loss. And they say, imagine a bookcase as tall as you are. Your most recent memories are at the top, what you've had for lunch and who you've met today. All your other memories are ordered chronologically on all the shelves below, right down to your earliest childhood memories. If you sadly develop dementia, your bookcase will start to rock, and the memories at the top will fall out first. And the rocking will continue as the memories fall out until it settles around the ages of 10 to 30, years old, when you've made those memories, 10 to 30. So for a 75-year-old today, their memories are in the 1960s and the 1970s. This is called the memory bump, this 10 to 30 years. And understanding this is the key to relating back to a person's past. So how can heritage improve the well-being? Well, interactions with material culture from our past trigger memories and provide a sense of comfort and empowerment, enabling people to carry out tasks. People describe dementia as a fog. Some days it's more dense than others. So if somebody's remembering the 1960s, the modern world is quite a confusing place, and lots of things they may be looking for have disappeared. So perhaps on a foggy day, they'll want to make a cup of tea, they'll go to the kitchen, look for a whistling kettle to put on a gas hob. And if they don't find that, they don't recognise the electric kettle as how we now make a cup of tea, and they're going to have to go without that cup of tea. Similarly, if they want to make a phone call, if they can't find a corded landline, they're not going to recognise a black screen of a mobile phone as what we use to make a phone call. Now, I love to go to a little local vintage tea room in Havant. It's called the 1940s, a really good play on words there. And you see the people come in and they settle down. The tea's served in teapots with cosies, bone china cups and plates. There's 1940s music playing, and all around the walls are objects from the 1940s. And you just see the old people absolutely relaxed. They're transported back in time, and their laughter and the memories begin to flow. And they don't realise they're experiencing reminiscence therapy. So we use reminiscence therapy at the Dementia Care Hub to promote people's memories. It's a great tool. It's multisensory. It uses familiar objects, sights, sounds, smells, or tastes to trigger memories from our past. Experiencing and validating these memories strengthens people's sense of identity and belonging. Discussing the past promotes cognitive stimulation. Even in a person where their verbal communication is deteriorating, they are still experiencing the emotion and experiencing the memories, and you may see that in the body language if you look closely. Sharing life experiences and wisdom creates a sense of pride and achievement and promotes deep interpersonal connections with family members and caregivers. We encourage our members to bring in things from their past that we can discuss with them. It helps us to learn about the person and to see the person, not the illness. Reminiscence sessions are really good fun. They generate lots of positive emotions. So this chap, he shows a lot of body language when we interact with him. And his daughter picks him up and says, he was absolutely buzzing today. I asked him what you did. He can't remember what he did, but he said he's had a really great day. He goes home happy, and that positive emotion lasts longer than the memory. he remains positive for a good few hours after the sessions. So the best way to explain reminiscing is to try. And I tried to think of something that would work in this format that might engage everybody. So let's have a go with this. Put your hand up, please, if you remember Woolworths. I think, yeah, it's everybody. Perfect. All right, so this is the exact Woolworths I grew up with, just outside Southampton. This is how it looks in my memory. I remember being 4 or 5 and looking at all the toys and all the aisles, which obviously expanded just before Christmas. I remember the pick and mix. It had a really kind of smooth handrail that ran around the outside. And being eye height to it, I could just see all the colourful wrappers and I could smell the chocolate inside. My first school uniform came from the Ladybird collection, the little red dress. And when I had to take stationery to school, I'd be really excited when the brochure came, looking through to see all the different things I was going to buy. I eagerly awaited the latest releases of my favourite artists' tapes and then later CDs at Woolworths. I even bought my first Valentine's card in Woolworths, having to scout around the shelves to make sure there's no one from school before I went to the till. And my children's clothes, first baby clothes and all the baby paraphernalia was all bought in Woolworths. So you see there are lots of memories for me from sort of 4 to 32, all happened in Woolworths, and perhaps it might have prompted some of your memories of Woolworths. So that was purely visual, but they did still have some sensory links there, the smell of the chocolate. But reminiscence is most powerful when it does involve multi-sensory sensations. So as archaeologists, we're quite in tune with this. If you've ever held a hand axe and felt the way that your fingers naturally fall over the position it did for the people who made it and used it all those years ago. Somebody who's used tools all their life, they pick up a plane or a chisel. Again, that weight of it, the fit of it in your hand, maybe even the smell. They're all very powerful emotions. And we are making these connections today with the things that we interact with, but we just don't realise yet, but they will come in importance later. So I tried again to think of something that we could all have a sensory reaction to. So put your hands up again if you remember Izal medicated toilet tissue. Ooh, it was a bit split. Some younger people didn't have the pleasure. So for me, instantly, I can smell it, right? It smelled really bad. It reminds me of the outside toilets at school. They were dark, they were damp, they smelt musty. And in the winter, there was ice in the bottom of the bowl. And then you had to use Izal toilet tissue, which if you've never used it, it was brown, not a good start. It rustled and crinkled, very much like a greaseproof texture. It smelled really bad, and it was absolutely useless for its intended purpose. So there, quite a few senses have been promoted even from just a picture, but, imagine if we actually had that to touch. Wendy Mitchell was a great advocate for dementia. She was diagnosed with young onset age 58, and sadly she died just a couple of weeks ago. Her middle of 3 books, What I Wish People Knew About Dementia, she collaborated with her friends, and they were able to explain really well what it's like to live with dementia and how it affects your life. I was really interested in her coping strategy of a memory room. And if I just read you this small extract, she says, "The smell of leather, the scent of my daughter's first T-bar shoes, which I kept in a box. These treasures are kept in the spare bedroom of my home, the place I call my memory room. It is a sanctuary where happy memories captured on film fill spaces on every wall. It's where I go when I need to sit and feel calm, surrounded by the people and places that have made me so happy. I've only got to open the lid of that box containing the shoes, and I'm there again, encouraging tiny feet into scuffed red shoes, out of the door and on the way to school." Wendy was really good at being able to explain her feelings. Interestingly, research has shown that memory of smell and music are stored in different parts of our brain that are not so affected by dementia. So these are great areas to tap into for reminiscence. So in heritage settings, we are keepers of people's memories. Almost anything could spark a memory for someone. And as I explained, memories are strongest between the ages of 10 and 30 years. So this is our late years of education, maybe college, university, sporting achievements, strong friendships, meeting partners, dancing, music, holidays, travel, maybe getting married, and depending on your age, memories of your early children's lives. So all of these things can promote good memories and well-being. I'm just going to skip a few slides because we're running out of time. So what I'm really passionate about trying to encourage people to do is to take heritage into the community to help these people. Lots of people won't be able to visit museums, so they really need heritage to come to them, and care homes in particular are really desperate for people to come and share heritage. It's a really hard job trying to provide stimulating activities every day for their residents, and especially if somebody has a special interest that they don't have experience of. So at the hub, we invited Daniel Ball from the Watercress Line to come and do us a session. He brought along a video. He told us about the history of the line, lots of videos of steam trains, and you could hear the sounds of the clattering on the tracks and the whistles. Some objects to handle with heavy cast iron signs, some hats to wear, oil and coal in the smell boxes, and flags. We did some signalling. And that was great. Everybody had a really fantastic time. And I think for them, it was probably as good as having gone on a trip. They all went home so happy. But you don't even have to be in a heritage setting or have objects from the past to start a reminiscence. This chap had been a policeman all of his working life, so we invited in the local PCSO, and they had a great time chatting, comparing the job now and then, and looking at his modern uniform and equipment. Memory boxes are a great way you can engage with a care home. Put together a few items in a box that relate to either your heritage setting that you're trying to promote, a time period, or a particular interest. So knitting here, this lady was always interested in craft. Put together some notes with some prompt questions on them, drop the box off for a couple of weeks at a care home, and then go back and facilitate a reminiscence session. Memory boxes are particularly good for people in care homes who don't like to join in with the social activities, because the box can be taken into the room and it can be enjoyed by that person in their own time. So I've got a couple of boxes at home full of all sorts of things I've collected over the years, and so at the hub, if I'm doing a particular theme, I just put items together from the box into a suitcase, go in, and then opening up the suitcase and talking through all the items in the box, and the memories just flow. It's really fun to do. We do have to consider the age of the person. So I said we're looking at this 10 to 30-year-old memory bump. Someone with a young onset dementia, they will be having different memories to somebody in their 80s. And think about the country and the culture. People who've grown up in different countries that have different memories and different material cultures. So, for example, it wouldn't be appropriate to run a wartime cookery session with somebody who wasn't old enough to remember or wasn't in this country at that time. If you're welcoming people with dementia into a heritage setting, we've all got lots of awareness around accessibility. There are some particular things around dementia which are not so obvious, and they're really well explained in this Rethinking Heritage Guide, which is Dementia Friendly Heritage Network produced that, and it's available for free download on the Alzheimer's Society. So definitely recommend that. I won't go into all these things now, but I mean, floors was really interesting. If you have a wavy pattern on a carpet, that can start to look like it's moving, someone with dementia, and it can even look like snakes. It can be quite terrifying. If a black floor will look like a hole, and even just a black mat, you'll see people around it, not over it. And if it looks shiny, it will look wet. So these things can stop people in their tracks. So if you're welcoming people into your setting, have a look at that guide. It's got a great checklist of things to bear in mind. I'd really encourage anybody that has a heritage setting to open up like a memory cafe, something like that. Run a little event once a month, invite people in, let them explore your collections in their own time and own way. And I really, really urge people to please take heritage into these communities. They're absolutely desperate, and the well-being benefits are just enormous. If you need any training in the Alzheimer's Society, has this great Dementia Friends session. It's online or in person, less than an hour, and you'll have a really great insight into dementia. So hopefully some of that may have inspired you to engage more with your dementia community. If you need any help doing so, please get in touch. Thank you very much.